Welcome. I'm going to do some director tips for Road to Broadhurst. Ran this adventure one time, getting ready to run it another couple times. It's a great intro adventure for Draw Steel. It is free. You can grab it on the MCDM website. And it's set up so you can run it in a modular format at a convention setting where you can take one encounter from it, or two encounters from it, or all four encounters from it, and play it anywhere from 1 to 4 hours in that kind of a setting. So nice setup for that. The adventure includes pre-generated characters, one for each of the classes that is in the hero book. I have tokens for those here. I'll put a link in the description below where I'll put these token files. So if you want to grab them and use them when you run it, you can. The plot of the adventure is that the party is starting in Wind, and they're approached by three NPCs, those NPCs being Fiok, Myrna, and Hector. And Fiok is a merchant from the village of Broadhurst, and he knows that they're having a kind of plague affecting the goats there, a lot of their livestock there. He's got a bleeding heart. He knows they're going to be in trouble if they don't get help, and he recruits Myrna and Hector, being a brilliant alchemist, Myrna, and a penny-pinching herbalist, Hector, to brew up some medicine to help the village of Broadhurst. And he wants to get that medicine to the village. So the adventure starts in Wind, and Wind and Broadhurst are in the barony of Dalrath, which is ruled over by the benevolent Lord Kenway. The journey should take 3 to 4 days, depending on how the montage tests go that are part of the journey. The adventure starts off with a bang. The first encounter is a combat encounter. The wagon's heading to the west. I kind of rearranged the creatures here a little bit. Do whatever you like with the creatures. You don't have to be beholden to how they're set up in the adventure. Fiok is driving his old horse there in front of his wagon. Myrna and Hector are inside the wagon. The party can arrange themselves around. Maybe one's riding shotgun, or they're all walking around the wagon. They've come to a crossroads. The signpost there says that the road to the west leads to Broadhurst. When thwack, a crossbow bolt embeds itself into the signpost, the group looks to the north, and through the driving rain, they see rat folk. This group of these are red-eye rat folk to the north. These guys have a range of 10 with their crossbows, and then combat starts. So the two sides will roll initiative. The first thing the party should be able to see are all the rat folk on the north of the road. And that might be all they see before any of the other rat folk go. I set up the swift paws to the west, hidden down here behind the wall. They'll pour out of the gap there and try and engage the party and draw them to the north and to the west. To the east over here, I got a couple of mischievers. These guys are going to just kind of pelt the party from behind, duck out, shoot, duck back. And then we have the leader of the rats up here to the very north. This is the Maestro. He is also got villain actions. First turn of combat, I'd have him do Overture. With Overture, all these red eyes who are along the path, they'll rush forward. They only have a range of 10, so they need to get close to be effective. So he'll use Overture to get them rushing forward. He'll move forward along the wall a little bit closer. Then this won't happen until round 2, but there's 4 more mischievers in the second group hiding in the tree line here. So the idea for the rat folk is they'll draw the party all to the north, and then the start of round 2, the Maestro can use his solo. Probably use it on himself. You can have the leaden clouds part just enough for a beam of sunlight to come down upon him, and he will solo. He'll jump up on the wall, probably be further south by this time. And as the minions are being mowed down, and they will be mowed down, remember to keep them on the map because, and I forgot to do this, because in the third villain action, the climatic part of the encounter probably, can be risen back up by the villain action, and that would be Rondo of Rats. They stand, they attack, and they fall dead again. Now, later in round 2, these guys are going to sneak up and try and get the medicine crates from the wagon. The party may or may not see them approaching, but they will certainly hear Myrna scream when the rats first step into the wagon, so that'll alert the party that they're trying to steal the crates. I'd have the rats moving at about half speed once they have their hands on the crates, heading south. They'll move straight to the south, trying to get off the map. If they get off the map with 3 crates, they are successful. If they're mowed down for some reason, the last gasp effort would be the mischievers to the east try to do the same, or the swift paws try to do the same. If it looks like none of them can, no, they're not going to get 3 crates, then they all will withdraw. So this encounter can run a little bit long. There is quite a bunch of stuff that's going to happen. It's going to be the first time the players are playing their characters. Watch the clock, especially if you're at a convention, and you can just have the rats disperse a little bit earlier if you need to wrap it up in an hour or an hour and a half. You can use your judgment. If you got the full 4 hours, I would go to at most an hour and a half. Of course, if you're trying to do it in 1 hour, then you got 1 hour. After this encounter, and the rats have dispersed, if the heroes were able to be successful in the battle, they might be able to get some treasure off the maestro. He's got some gecko gloves that they can grab. Not much other treasure otherwise. The wagon's mired in the mud this whole time. I don't know if I said that at the start, but that's why it's not moving. It's mired in the mud. The party will have to get it moving. And then they can roll right on into the montage test and keep moving. They got a travel of 3 or 4 days. They've got a lot of things that could happen. They might have to, the first thing is get out of the mud, but that's not part of the montage test. They will need to rally the horse to keep it going. Myrna can ask them for help foraging herbs. Herds of cattle can slow them down. They can try and herd the cattle along. The wagon can break a wheel. I'd probably save the break wheel, fallen trees, maybe raise spirits for the day 2, but or at least the second round of the montage test. But go through the first round. If the party gets to 5 successes in the first round, all 5 of the characters succeed, great. You're done with the montage test. If they haven't, I would put the negotiation into the montage test as an interlude. There's not a specific interlude in this venture, but the negotiation fits well for that. And these two things together take about an hour. So you can do both of them together if you have an hour left. The negotiation with the Wode elves, called Woes. These Wode elves are very concerned about the dangers of the forest, and they'll probably share that motivation. So you have a lot going on with the negotiation, but in a nutshell, you're trying to get the Wode elves interested in what you're trying to suggest or request, and before they run out of patience. In this encounter, they're going to start with a patience of 5, so everybody's got a lot of chances. Their interest is only 1, though, so party's got to raise that. They can find out their first motivation, that being protection, and play to that and hopefully get early success out of the gate. They can, of course, try to suss out more motivations after that first one, the other one being freedom. They got to avoid the pitfalls of benevolence and legacy. I would kind of handle this, back and forth, give everyone a chance, all 5 characters to do something. Once they get to a interest of 3 or higher, they're going to get passage through the forest, and they might just accept that, and they don't have to continue, even if the patience is still there for them to continue. But once the patience goes to 0, they then have to stop, and the Wodels give whatever offer. The adventure tells you what those are, but basically the higher the interest, the better. At least 3 or higher to move through the forest, and that's only if you give up the gecko gloves. If the party doesn't want to move through the forest, they can certainly go around the forest. And if they got interested too, they might get a little bit of help with that. Or the party can try and just push on through and fight the elves, and the elves will harry them. You don't really run a combat for this, but the party will lose some resources, being crates and recoveries, in doing that. So if that was an interlude, then you can go back to the second round of the montage test, finish that up, and you're done with that. You should be no more than 2.5 hours in. If you're in a convention, you might have an hour left, 3.5 hours, or an hour and a half left, depending. So then you're going to come to the 4th encounter, the last encounter, the combat encounter. I should say victories in the very first encounter. You can get 2 victories in the first one if you have no crates get stolen. If you have less than 3 get stolen, you get 1 victory. You can get a victory with the montage test. You can get a victory with the Woes. So you can come into the 4th encounter here with 4 victories. So the party's going to have a lot of heroic resources to go. They're going to really rip through these goblins. I have the wagon going east to west on the screen, and there is supposed to be a fire before and after, and there's a perception check. It's intuition alertness, I believe. Check the party makes. Everyone can make the check, and whoever gets the highest score determines the outcome for the party. I would assume the party's being careful and watching, so I wouldn't even force them to tell me this before I'd let them roll. And if they are successful, They won't be surprised. If they are not successful, they will be surprised. So watch out for that. And if the parties are really good, the firewall won't come up until the start of the second round of combat. Now, there are many groups of goblins here, and the assassin goblins are going to come in round 2. In round 1, the warriors are in the front for the goblins. And I would use all the malice, and you'll have quite a bit of it, for them to come down, attack, and just bury the point. And they're trying to kind of funnel the party to the front of the wagon, almost like a distraction. Then I'd have the stinkers, the goblin stinkers can use their swamp gas to cordon off the back quarter of the wagon and try and block party from seeing the back of the wagon there. And then in round 2, well, at the end of the round 1, Fiok, even if the wall of fire has gone up because the party didn't roll super high on their perception, Fiok's in a panic. He's going to keep driving the horse forward. The wagon's moving kind of slow. If it's full of crates, it'll move into the fire. It'll survive the fire, but unless the party like tells him to stop. So give them some hints that he's driving the horse forward. He's moving. The encounter can end if he can get the horse off the map. It's got a speed of 4 with the wagon heavily loaded. A party member can take a maneuver to push it. So if anyone tries to push it, you can say, well, you can use a maneuver and you'll push it. Your might in the square is extra distance this round. So that happens at the end of each round. The wagon can move. But at the start of round 2, the assassins are going to come in. And if there's swamp gas cording off the back of the area so that no one can see what they're doing and there's no one back there, they could just run and grab crates. Myrna will scream, etc. If there's any party members visible, they could definitely use their shadow chains there. And this would be a good time to use Brutal Effect, a malice power available to everyone. That increases the potency of their shadow chains, which is another malice power. So they're going to be burning 6 malice to do one of these. So if they see anyone at the back of the wagon area, they can try and chain them up. The other 3 can go fight them, and they can try and grab crates that way, or they can try and hobble the wagon. That's another thing. If the wagon's moving away, they can try and do that. It's going to be a fun climatic battle. So now if you're watching time and you're nearing the 3.5-hour mark, you want to leave yourself maybe 15 minutes for the end conclusion. The goblins will retreat if they're down to half their number. And you might even have them retreat slightly sooner if you're running out of time. But if you have extra time and you're having fun and the party's having fun, you'd have them hold on a little bit longer. Have that morale hold for a little bit longer before they go. So watch your time on that encounter. That's a good one. Now the party at the end will come into the village of Broadhurst, and that'll be your conclusion. They'll be hailed as heroes. Myrna will offer to teach them, if they get any crates back, how to make healing potions. If they get 2 to 4 crates back, she'll make a healing potion for each of them. And if they have 5 or more, they'll gain the local hero title. And that is the end. They'll have a respite finally at the Straw Bed Inn in the village of Broadhurst, and they can start the Delian Tomb. Thanks for watching this one. I will have in the description below music suggestions by Tabletop Audio and Wild Dog Productions. I'll have links for where you can grab tokens that I've used. The maps, they're provided in the adventure by the Mad Cartographer and Seppuku, so you got those. The image for the Woes negotiation, that came from the Wode elf entry in the monster book, so you can grab that if you like that image. Pretty cool. These little tokens here that have track and failures and successes and patience and interest and malice and hero points. I have a video, one back, I think, Draw Steel Deep Dive 3, I think, where I describe how I did that. And thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe, please comment, leave a tip if you like, if you found value, and check out this great video next. Thanks for watching, everyone.